I've been watching wrestling for as long as I can remember, and I wouldn't continue to watch it if I didn't love it. However, wrestling has brought some of the most infuriating things to me, and there are certain things that just get under my skin about it that I wish I could change. I wish I could just go in there and change it right now. There are 5 things I'm going to pinpoint at, but there are multiple pet peeves, and I know everyone has pet peeves about wrestling, but we're going to get into the top 5. So let's go to number 5 for me. The first one is what I call the big bad foreigner. Every time we get a foreign wrestler, and I'm not going to talk about maybe someone from Europe or Canada. It's not those countries. It's a country like what we're seeing with Rusev, Russia, or an Arab country. That's what it is. Those people seem to have this complex that they are better, and it's that stupid overused storyline where America's weak and this country reigns supreme, and then it just becomes a patriotic USA chant. With Rusev, it's kind of working out with Jack Swagger because that makes sense, but with someone like Kali or Vladimir Kozlov, it really just was stupid, and it was just a cheap way to get heat on them. And besides, Vladimir Kozlov and Kali were pretty lackluster in the ring. Rusev can at least back up his, cheap-ass character with some positive and awesome in-ring action. Kali and Vladimir, not so much. They just had that stupid complex of, I'm from another country and that makes me better than you. It's kind of ironic that they don't do it with Canadian wrestlers or, European wrestlers. There was that whole Canada versus America thing back in '97 with Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart, but that was kind of different. That had a different spin on it. That was kind of the effect of their rivalry. That wasn't the main cause of it. That was just something that was the effect of it. It was a cause and effect. Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart are rivals, therefore their countries get behind their sides. It's like that. It wasn't like Shawn Michaels came into Canada and said, I'm better because I'm an American. It's very different. Again, Rusev does have the ability to back him up, but guys like, Kali and Vladimir, they're the 2 biggest culprits of this. They are basically why I hate this so much. And why is it that every Arab wrestler gets the camel clutch finisher? Let's look at Muhammad Hassan for a second. He had the same complex. America sucks. I'm awesome. Stuff like that. And he had a camel clutch finisher. The dude's Italian. I know you might not know that upon first sight because he could be from a lot of different countries just looking at him, but he's Italian. So why is he getting a camel clutch finisher? I don't know. It's just, I'm not saying it's racist. I'm just saying it's stupid. There's no point in having these superiority complexes because they're stupid. Number 4 is one personally for me, and that's social media plugs. I don't have a Facebook. I don't have Twitter. I don't really do social media at all just because I hate how social media makes to me, I'm going to sidetrack here from wrestling. Social media has given people this idea that what they think truly affects the world. That I'm going to care what you had for breakfast and stuff like that. I'm not saying social media is a bad thing, and it does have a lot of positives to it. But I've seen so many stupid arguments caused over something someone put on Facebook or someone said something on Twitter, and all of a sudden this huge argument starts. When it's stupid, everyone's immature as all hell, because they have a little computer screen to protect them. People can say whatever they want on the internet and social media because they're not going to say something face-to-face with someone. Get them face-to-face and they're not going to have the balls to say anything. Whatever. That's my whole thing on social media. Whatever. I kind of hate the social media plugs in wrestling, even to the point now where Twitter handles and Twitter usernames are put on the nameplate of a wrestler when they come out to the ring, and when you show them in a match graphic, it'll say Chris Jericho, and then it'll say @I am Jericho. I don't know. It's kind of stupid. Mainly it's because I don't have a Twitter. Twitter is actually a very good way for wrestlers to talk to their fans. I think I see positives in it. I don't hate social media per se. I can never get into it, and I don't like it. But, I do see the positives of it, and I do see the positive effects it can have on wrestling, for fan interaction, stuff like that. But, Twitter is just everywhere in wrestling, and it's getting on my nerves. WWE passed their tout phase. I thought I was going to bury my face in the sand whenever they brought up tout, because tout was just so annoying, and all the fans' touts made no sense. I couldn't stand tout. Anyway, I think it's in little tiny sections we could have social media plugs. We can have it in little itty-bitty increments, but it's overhauled and I can't stand it. Number 3 is something that bothers me so much, and those were the pay-per-view name changes. What happened to No Way Out, Backlash, Judgment Day, Armageddon, Unforgiven, No Mercy? What happened to those things? Now we have Extreme Rules, We have Elimination Chamber, Money in the Bank. First off, I will say I love Money in the Bank, but anyway, when did we get pay-per-views from match concepts? Wouldn't No Way Out be a better name than Elimination Chamber? And it's so awkward to say because you can't say I'm going to beat you at Elimination Chamber because it's like, are you talking about the pay-per-view or the match? So you have to say the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view. Well, that just sounds stupid. You sound like a complete idiot when you're talking. I'm going to kick your ass at No Way Out. Sounds a lot cooler than I'm going to kick your ass at Elimination Chamber. I feel like all these match concepts just don't fall off the tongue. And TLC, that's got to be the worst one. I'm going to beat you at TLC. Like, who would buy a pay-per-view called Tables, Ladders, and Chairs? Like, that sounds like a Home and Garden type pay-per-view. Like, that's stupid. I mean, Armageddon, No Way Out, Backlash, those sound like, real, like, gritty, irony, like, awesome pay-per-view names, but you're gonna buy Tables, Ladders, and Chairs. I never understood why they did that. And I mean, they do have some pay-per-views like Battleground and Over the Limit, which, have some sort of cool ring to them. But, I miss pay-per-views like Backlash and No Way Out. It's not me trying to live in the past and say, oh, wrestling was better when they had cooler pay-per-view names. Because right down to it, the pay-per-view name doesn't matter. As long as the show's good, we're good to go. But I think again, this isn't a complaint, it's just a pet peeve. I can get over calling the pay-per-view the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view. I would just prefer it be called No Way Out because it sounds cooler. Number 2, and oh god, I love this one, and I say love very loosely. This wrestler was buried by John Cena, or he was buried when, Damian Sandow cut a promo on him. Like, people love the term buried. They say buried all the time. Their favorite wrestler loses one match, and all of a sudden he was buried. Look, I'm going to read you the definition of buried. The worked lowering of a popular wrestler's status in the eyes of the fans. It is the act of promoter or broker causing a wrestler to lose popularity by forcing him to lose in squash matches, continuously and or participating in unentertaining or degrading storylines. It can be a form of punishment for real-life backstage disagreements or feuds between the wrestler and the booker, the wrestling falling out of favor with the company, or the wrestler receiving an unpopular gimmick that causes him to lose credibility regardless of win-loss record. Damian Sandow was not buried by John Cena when he lost. Damian Sandow is currently being buried because he is forced to dress up like ridiculous figures of history and compete in squash matches. Unless this is some complex storyline for Damian Sandow where he just dresses up in ridiculous things and eventually snaps, then yes, I would say he was not buried. But if there's no payoff to this whole Damian Sandow thing and eventually he's just released, 3 months from now, then yes, he was definitely buried. But people said he got buried when he lost to John Cena. Dude, and people are saying Cesaro got buried when he lost to John Cena back in February. Look, losing does not mean burying. Look, from the Cesaro John Cena perspective, look at it this way. Cesaro was just starting to get his feet wet as a singles performer with, real drive behind him. He did have a singles run, but let's face it, when he was with Maxine, he was speaking all the different languages, and he had that stupid I'm better than America gimmick. I guess they did give it to one European, Antonio Cesaro. So, when he had that, Uber America gimmick, and when he had Maxine with him when he was U.S. champ, was he really that over? Sure, he was a good wrestler, putting out some good matches, but, no one really cared about him. I mean, I liked him. I knew about him before he was Cesaro, and I was like, oh, yeah, he's cool, yada, yada. I didn't really care for him that much, though, because there was no reason to care for him. But now that he's Cesaro, and he's got the King of Swing, and he's got Paul Heyman in his back pocket, now he's cool. Anyway, he wasn't buried by Cena. How can someone who's just getting their feet wet beat the top guy in the company? You're setting him up for failure. That's why people are saying, Bray Wyatt and Roman Reigns and Cesaro got buried when they lost this Money in the Bank ladder match. No, that's setting them up for failure. You give them an early title run just to have them lose in the next month to SummerSlam to Brock Lesnar, which is most likely going to happen. No, you're just setting them up for failure. You have to build him. Cesaro has proved he could hang with John Cena in his match on Raw with him in February. But Cena had to beat him because that was the logical thing to do because Cesaro is not on Cena's level yet. Despite what you fans may think, Cesaro is not on Cena's level. He has to build and become to Cena's level where he can beat him in a one-on-one match. Losing does not mean burying. The only person I can really see being buried right now is Damian Sandow, unless this whole process of him constantly embarrassing himself has to do with some sort of, payoff, where he snaps and reinvents himself. That's the only thing I can think of. Anyway, that's my little tangent on being buried. Number one, Buried was going to be the number one pet peeve, but in recent months, I've had a bigger pet peeve, and those are those damn CM Punk chants. Look, I'm not saying that I was totally against the hijack Raw thing. I thought, hijack Raw, whatever. They're not giving us what they want. We want Daniel Bryan in the main event, so why not hijack Raw? Haha, let's have fun with this. The CM Punk chants, my main thing with them is they're done. They're done. They were fun for like a month. Okay, when CM Punk left, oh, we're going to chant his name because he left. We know he left. Oh, we're going to chant CM Punk whenever we want. Haha, that was awesome. Okay, but it's July. He left 6 months ago. Get over it. Like, think about this for a second. You're chanting for a guy who said, F this job, I'm out of here. Regardless of what the circumstances of it or not. He walked out on the company. He walked out on you. And you're going to chant his name while there's another match going on. It just seems stupid. And have you noticed that they chant it whenever there's downtime? It's like, whenever they're not being entertained, it's like, what should I do if I'm not entertained? I'm going to chant CM Punk's name. That's so stupid. Just chant any other wrestler's name for that matter. And here's the thing. I think a lot of fans think, well, if we chant CM Punk's name, he's going to come back. Newsflash for you, buddy. He ain't coming back because you're going to chant his name during Raw. I guarantee you, he is not even watching anything about wrestling. I bet you he's not even going on the internet and seeing the little stories about what happened on Raw. He's not watching any sort of wrestling. I guarantee you that. Or if he is, it's to watch his wife wrestle. Okay? He might tune in for AJ's match. I wouldn't be surprised if that didn't happen. Honestly, he's done. Unless when he is ready to come back, he'll come back. And if he never does, he never does. He is burnt out and he is done. There's no reason to chant his name. Just chant Sergeant Slaughter's name for that matter. Or chant, Pete Rose's name. He had something to do with wrestling. It's stupid. There's no reason to chant his name. And again, it's not going to cause anything. It's not going to bring anything good out of it. CM Punk has nothing to do with WWE anymore. He doesn't want anything to do with WWE anymore. So don't take that out on all the people who are actually trying to perform for you. You know what I mean? I would say it's disrespectful in a way, but I would say, it's the fans trying to voice their opinions. That's what I was saying back then. But now it's just like, they're done. Get over it. He left. I'm sorry that your favorite wrestler is no longer with the company. When Chris Jericho left, I didn't go chant Chris Jericho during the Dolph Ziggler-Wade Barrett match, last week on Raw. I'm not trying to say I'm better than other people, but I'm saying that's just the fact. My favorite wrestler wasn't with the company. Oh well, I'm not going to chant his name because that's stupid. You just look like an idiot when you're chanting CM Punk's name. To a casual fan who just turns on Raw for the first time in 3 weeks, you're chanting CM Punk during, I don't know, Dolph Ziggler and Fandango. People are going to think you're stupid. What's CM Punk have to do with this? It just sounds stupid. It is stupid, and there's no reason to chant his damn name. No good's going to come out of it. I don't even understand the point of it. It's stupid. But, guys, maybe it's just me. If you guys want to chant CM Punk's name, go ahead. All I know is I'm not on board with it, and I think you guys look absolutely ridiculous chanting his name when there's no trace of him there. And it's stupid, and I will never understand it. I will never get over it. But at that point, guys, I'm out.